Hi everybody, my name is Alex Olson and I'll be presenting for Subteam B, which conducted a vulnerability assessment on Business Jets Corporation, or BJC. In this assessment, we've identified 8 key vulnerabilities which we deem to be the most important for BJC to fix in order to have a substantially improved information security structure. The 8 vulnerabilities are divided into 4 vulnerability subsections. Each vulnerability will be explained, and then the recommended fix will be explained as well. So to begin, Business Jets Corporation provides international executive aircraft services to elite clientele around the world. Coordination of large entities like BJC take place through a robust network of not only pilots, support staff, and mechanics, but also through an extensive information technology network consisting of digital flight itineraries, online communications, and other company data. With such a large global footprint and with such a reliance on data stored within a network accessed by over 1,000 employees across the globe, firm information security measures would seem to be the priority. However, the security posture of BJC is not as strong as originally thought. The analysis completed by this team will highlight known vulnerabilities within the BJC network, which put the entire company at risk. These vulnerabilities include the lack of a uniform, comprehensive training program for employees, a non-existent network segregation structure, a company information security culture centered around response rather than proactivity, and an insufficient budget which has contributed to a lack of company-wide security updates for all network machines. So to begin, we'll go over the first 4 vulnerabilities, which are found under the Contractor Computer Security and Additional Security Challenges subsection. The first vulnerability is maintaining individual employee Outlook, Skype, and Defender versions. Contract personnel are required to individually purchase and maintain their own Outlook, Skype, and Defender versions. Leaving the purchase and maintenance of software in the hands of each individual contractor is a big risk for BJC. Not only will BJC's CISO, or Chief Information Security Officer, have to track each person's license, expiration dates, and maintenance individually, but there's also a risk that the contractors may not update their software as frequently as desired by BJC or apply the recommended updates at all. This team's recommendation is that BJC implement Microsoft's SCCM, or System Center Configuration Manager, for the required updates. The second vulnerability we found was that there's only one CISO for the entire corporation. BJC does want to improve their cybersecurity posture, but another major vulnerability found is that there's only one dedicated CISO to oversee all IT compliance for the entire corporation. BJC would benefit from additional cybersecurity personnel, which would allow them to dig deeper into the corporation's past and current challenges in network security. With an uptick in cyber-related incidents from the use of modems, spam emails, DOS attacks, network probing from foreign services, worms, insider threats, and natural disasters. Without qualified and trained information assurance personnel, BJC is in a high-risk situation. Our recommendation is that BJC enhance their cybersecurity personnel, which would allow them to dig deeper into their both past and current challenges so that BJC can adequately respond to infringements upon their network. The third vulnerability is quite simple: outdated documentation. Simply keeping diagrams as current as possible will always allow anyone working on the IT system to view the correct information. These diagrams should be publicized, shareable, and accessible in real time to those who need it, and would act much like a Google document. Likewise, our recommendation is that keeping these diagrams as current as possible will allow people working on them and conducting projects within BJC to make the correct decisions, preserving company resources. The fourth vulnerability is that BJC does not have a disaster recovery plan. There are quite a few natural threats that have impacted BJC over the past decade, and there's no disaster recovery plan in place. BJC needs to complete an end-to-end assessment of the network and meet with each application team on a periodic basis, which can help piece together the specific requirements needed to have a disaster recovery plan in place if such a disaster were to occur. And that is our recommendation: completing an end-to-end assessment of the network meeting with each application team on a periodic basis, and piecing together requirements which are going to be needed in order to compose an adequate disaster recovery plan if such a disaster were to occur, both man-made or natural. So now that we've gone through the first 4 vulnerabilities, we're going to transition to the next 4 vulnerabilities, which is under network management and information assurance. The first vulnerability we found was that BJC has a lack of assets with automated vulnerability detection tools. The assets that lack SCCM, or the System Center Configuration Manager as previously mentioned, do not have an automated manner for conducting vulnerability assessments, which may put the entire network at risk. Our recommendation is that to ensure security across all systems, such as password enforcement, firewall enabling, and appropriate permissions across folder structures, that BJC implement SCCM across all of their information technology assets. The second vulnerability is that there's an over-reliance on personnel to create and maintain customized scripts. Currently, the organization relies on subject matter experts to maintain customized Perl scripts, sending these experts to detached locations several times per year to maintain the local systems. However, relying on personnel with no backups is an extreme vulnerability due to the unreliability of human nature. It is also more challenging to replace Perl or SNMP scripting subject matter experts than it is to train several staff members on how to update a COTS product, and therefore, procuring and implementing the COTS NMS should be prioritized at a higher level. And that is exactly what this group recommends. We recommend the implementation of a COTS network management system to limit the over-reliance on people. The third vulnerability is the use of external auditors to perform biannual security checks. BJC auditors perform basic biannual controls checks and submit their findings to a large information security operations center, but then they await instructions on corrective actions to be taken in response to an incident that has occurred. Our recommendation is that BJC perform in-house monthly audits to increase proactiveness. The monthly audits will not only give BJC an updated status on the threats they face, but will allow them to perform faster when a threat is identified. This also plays into one of the first vulnerabilities, vulnerability number 2, which is that there's only one CISO for the entire corporation. The CISO's cybersecurity staff is diminished, if non-existent, and increasing that staff is going to allow BJC to perform in-house monthly audits, which is going to greatly increase their security posture. The fourth and final vulnerability under network management and information assurance is non-mandated updates to antivirus software. BJC IT does not mandate updates for McAfee antivirus software. Typically, the system will automatically push out software updates once they are available, but the BJC leaves these critical updates up to the users of the machines, and that plays into the first vulnerability under the first subsection, which is allowing the contractors or forcing the contractors to update their own programs. Our recommendation is that BJC implement automatic push updates when new antivirus versions are available. With key vulnerabilities within the BJC network now exposed, real efforts can take place to remedy them, but they must come from within the company itself rather than from outside forces. First, the CISO needs to take a proactive stance in being able to position the company to not only respond to threats as they present themselves, but to also proactively forecast them in attempts to better prepare the company. Additionally, BJC needs to incorporate the security standards set forth in FIPS 200, which would modernize their information security practices in 17 different areas, allowing them to better protect themselves. Lastly, network segregation would compartmentalize sections of the network, better ensuring that if one portion of the network has been compromised, the rest remains secure. This would allow BJC IT personnel to focus on one area, decreasing the time searching for the information compromised, and push out the required fixes. I'll note that the lack of network segregation was seen in the Target data breach of 2013, which led to massive losses for not only millions of consumers, but also Target themselves. The above recommendations are imperative if BJC is to modernize its security posture, guaranteeing both the confidential information of their customers and company. So that concludes our presentation. I look forward to reading your questions and hopefully having a good discussion with the rest of the class. Thank you.